On this episode, we talk about recent trips to Blizzard Beach, Margaritaville Resort, and Universal Orlando. Today is March 21st, 2023. This is episode 549 of the Main Street Magic Podcast.
Jeremy and Rhonda are more than a little fond of Disney World, so they made this podcast to share it all with you. Reports and resorts, top 10 lists of all sorts. Main Street Magic's bringing it home for you.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Main Street Magic. I'm your host, Jeremy Stein, and as always, I'm joined by my lovely wife, Rhonda.
Hey guys.
Make sure you check us out on the web at mainstmagic.com, as well as follow on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at mainstmagic. If you've not done so already, head out to Facebook and search for the Main Street Magic community and ask to join. Then if you hit that subscribe button, you're going to get brand new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. We are super excited to be dining at Roundup Rodeo Barbecue, opening this week in Toy Story Land at Disney's Hollywood Studios, right there in Orlando. And there is no way we would have gotten that reservation if it were not for Mouse Dining, because Mouse Dining removes the frustration of booking Disney dining reservations, alerting you when they spot availability for your desired restaurant, date, meal, and time. Visit msmfriends.com to use this free service.
So today is going to be kind of like a hodgepodge / trip review of our past 5 days in Orlando and a 9-day period with 3 different trips.
That is correct. Two overnight stays, a day trip when we did our Tron preview. So we're just going to piece together really just a couple different things that we didn't cover in the past week and a half while we were running around like crazy. And then to be even crazier, we're going down Friday for the day trip for Roundup Rodeo and coming back. So it's been a interesting span, I would say, of 2 weeks. But first one we're going to start with is not very timely because they just closed it again for refurbishment, is Blizzard Beach.
I don't understand.
It's, I don't know what it is. If it's maybe demand isn't there. I mean, there was always once a year, during the winter time, every other year they'd close either Typhoon or they'd close Blizzard for refurbishments, right. Paint, whatever they needed, fix stuff. That's fine. We haven't had both water parks open at the same time in over 3 years. I mean, they only really opened not that long ago, and they have not been open at the same time. I don't know if there's just not demand enough that Disney's seeing. I mean, it sure seems like you would think coming up in summer. So yeah, there's zero reason for Blizzard Beach to have just reopened like 2 months ago and then go down for refurbishment again when it was closed for 3 years.
Yeah.
So something's odd.
Yeah, a little bit.
But the good news is, if you would like to add currently Typhoon Lagoon to your Disney vacation, you can do all of this, of course, through Chuck with Main Street Magic Travel. You go to mainstmagictravel.com. Anything we're talking about today, Chuck can help you with. So go to mainstmagictravel.com, fill out that form for a free quote. There are some options for your water park tickets, which would cover both Blizzard Beach and Typhoon Lagoon. There's a one-day water park ticket with no blockout dates. That's $69 per adult, $63 per child. Or there's a one-day water park ticket with blockout dates at $64 per adult, $58 per child.
And the good news with this, there is no where you have to plan and ahead of time.
Yeah, no reservation system. So you can just show up.
Which is nice.
It makes sense to do the one with blockout dates if you're going during a time that those dates aren't available, but only saving $5 a ticket is not a huge savings. Do you think $69 just? Let's go right for the jugular here. For the water parks, is $69 a person or $63 per child a day worth a water park ticket in doing this during your Disney trip?
I think so.
Yeah, I think 100%. We love the water parks. I've said this all the time, like that we've been to. If you count the 3 water parks amongst Disney and Universal, which are the ones that we go to, Volcano Bay is hands down the best water park.
Yeah. But
Typhoon Lagoon is my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Another option is to add your Park Hopper Plus or Water Park and Sports option. This is going to give you access to either of the water parks, whichever one's open. ESPN Wide World of Sports Complex, that is currently unavailable, but it'll give you access to Disney's Oak Trail Golf Course, foot golf at Disney's Oak Trail, or you can do either of the putt-putt courses, the miniature golf courses, Fantasia Gardens and Winter Summerland, one round per person prior to 4 p.m. All right, let's go back. I just wanted to throw that other ticket option out there. Blizzard Beach versus Typhoon Lagoon. What are your overall thoughts on the two? Are there certain areas of one that you prefer to the other? Like, because I think that's the big one is, you have a family coming down or a couple coming down,
right,
or a family with older kids coming down. Which is the proper Disney water park for them? You know what I mean?
It's sad because Blizzard's closing, but now being back at Blizzard and being at Typhoon more recently, I do think Blizzard is for more of the younger crowd, I feel like.
Agreed.
For younger children and everything. It's really fun. And then Typhoon would be for your older children and your just maybe adult couples and stuff like that. Because I forget that the wave pool at Typhoon is this awesome, amazing like wave.
Yeah.
Which can knock you over. And, they actually take surf lessons there prior to opening. And with all that being said, Blizzard is just, your small little wave pool that just have little waves.
I agree. I think Blizzard Beach is for the younger kids. I think that Typhoon Lagoon is perfect for adults only, or if you've got older, like teenage kids. A lot of just the wave pools in general, as you were talking about, you don't want to take your little one into the wave pool at Typhoon Lagoon, like into the wave pool.
Yeah.
You're going to sit at the edge.
Yeah.
Blizzard Beach, I think with the new updated Frozen theming.
That was super
which is
cute.
really
we went
cute.
over there and looked at it.
They have a wonderful children's area. I think it's better than the one that's over in Typhoon Lagoon that's kind of tucked away in that back left corner. If you do have the little kids and you decide on Blizzard Beach, but you're a bit of a thrill seeker, they still have Summit Plummet. You can still get your thrills if that's what you want. You're not going to miss out there. And Typhoon, to me, Typhoon has that overall vibe of like an adults only vacation retreat to a tropical getaway, sitting on the beach and having a drink, and the waves are kind of crashing and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of better there. I think they both do a really good job with food. We've always enjoyed their food.
Yeah.
Again, if you go over to Volcano Bay, they're a lot more inventive with their items. You can get things like sushi over there. So I think overall Volcano Bay has the better food, but the Disney water parks do it well. And we went ahead and sat down for lunch.
We did.
And what did we have for lunch that day?
Well, we went to the Lotta Wada Lodge.
It's fun to say.
It is. And they actually had some shrimp and grits. So that is obviously what I got. This is $12.99. It is home-style stone ground cheddar cheese grits topped with Cajun Florida Gulf shrimp, andouille sausage, and fire-roasted corn and peppers. This was really good for a water park shrimp and grits.
Yeah.
I feel like a very large portion. The grits were good by themselves, very good. They just tasted more like a cream of wheat. So when they were stone ground, they were really ground.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like how they did not have like a ton of sauce with it. So that was perfect for me. And then the fire roasted corn and peppers were like almost like a side little, and I kind of ended up eating all of it together. And the shrimp was great. Andouille sausage was great. The shrimp were small.
They were boathouse sized.
They were.
But flavorful.
But very good.
Yeah.
And something like that, I'm hard pressed to say I wanted something bigger. I felt like it was perfect, if that makes any sense.
No, it does. I like you just said, for a quick service dining establishment at a water park, this was very, very good. Now, if you went to a sit down restaurant, if you went to, Art Smith's and they served you this, you'd be like, what is this junk? But I think, the price $13, it was very shareable. Like we could have sat down and shared it, the two of us.
I was very full because what you got, then
I went ahead. The only other thing I'll say about this dish, I enjoyed the fire roasted corn and peppers with it, but I thought there was too much. Like just a little bit of it mixed in was good, and it gave it that fire roasted flavor. But I did like how they had it separated from it, so that you could kind of mix it yourself or just almost eat it on the side. I went ahead and got the White Cap flatbread. This is topped with white sauce, chicken breast, bacon, Parmesan, bell pepper, and tomato for $11.99. This is your oblong, flatbread pizzas that you'll see throughout Disney parks, kind of like over at Pinocchio House. This was very good. I enjoyed it. I like their flatbreads. They have a nice crispy crust. The flavors were all there. You had chunks of chicken, paired well with the bacon, Parmesan, and all that. I like cooked bell pepper, like on a pizza, and tomatoes like that, like sliced tomatoes. So I really enjoyed it. I didn't finish it.
Yeah, I took a bite and it was really good. I can't believe you didn't finish it.
I know.
We were full.
We were full from the shrimp and grits because I took several bites of that, and then I ate the majority of this flatbread. So they have some really good dining options throughout both of the water parks. But again, if you're looking at coming right now, you have to go to Typhoon Lagoon.
Yeah.
But if there ever comes a time where you're looking ahead and you're going, all right, here's the schedules, and only one of them will be open.
So they'll never be open again.
We have
at
no
the same
idea,
time?
no clue. I mean, there's not a set date on when Blizzard Beach is going to reopen. I mean, it literally
weird.
just shut down 2 days ago, and then Typhoon, I do not believe even reopened due to weather because we're having cold weather here right now. And if it gets under a certain degree, they're going to not open the water park. So
Right.
something else to think about. I know you could have people from up north
And they
coming
do heat the
down.
water.
They do. It's all the 82 degrees like the resort pools. But I know you could have people from up north coming down, and just be aware that even though you are cool getting in the water in just say January or February, you know, we aren't as Floridians, but the park could not open on a day if it dips below, I think it's 60
Okay.
during like the opening time period or whatever. So just something to note. But yeah, look at your plans, talk to Chuck, get the pricing for all of this. But I think adding a water park day, and again, not to say if you're coming down and you go, we've got little ones, only Typhoon Lagoon is open right now. We're not saying don't go to Typhoon Lagoon.
Yeah.
I think you should still add a water park day because it's
fun.
There's rides and there's slides, and it's still a park, but it is on a different level of relaxation as compared to obviously going to any of the theme parks. You know what I mean? Right. So we always say, 2 days on, 1 day off.
Right.
That 1 day may be spent resort hopping. It may be spent sitting by your pool at your resort. Yeah. It may be spent going to a water park. And I still think it's a relaxation day. Yeah. Now, somebody out there listening who's got like a 2 and a 4-year-old has been like, hey, buddy, you haven't had those in a while, have you?
Right.
No day with him is relaxing, no matter what you're doing.
True.
So that was actually on our trip down to do the Tron preview that evening. And on our way over to Tron, we had some research we had to do, didn't we, Rhonda? We had to see if it was true. What am I talking about?
We had to go back to Enchanted Rose to see if the Amore was seriously off the menu. So we did, and we actually asked our amazing bartender, who was
Sheila, not Elizabeth.
Yes.
She had an Elizabeth name tag for a few days. Funny. Yeah, and it was fun. I can't remember if we said this last time because I can't remember if we mentioned Sheila when we were talking about Tron before, but she had an Elizabeth name tag. She had forgotten hers, and there was a couple at the end of the bar too that were just very politely like, "Excuse me, Elizabeth," and they were getting like visibly frustrated that she wasn't answering until she finally realized that they were talking to her. Mm-hmm. It was funny, and then everybody laughed, and it was good. But Sheila was awesome.
Yeah.
So the Amore.
It is not on there because
it is no Amore.
Okay. Was that supposed to be funny?
Yeah, it was supposed to be. There's no guarantee on these jokes.
Okay. Yeah, what was it that they said that they don't
It was the tea. It was the tea that went with the Amore. And
I thought there was a liquor with it.
There may have been. So no, I'm sorry. I think it was the liquor that they were no longer carrying, but it was the tea that they still had. So she actually crafted you a different cocktail that was similar to the Amore, but missing the certain liquor that it normally has. Yeah. And that's what she's been doing for people because apparently a lot of folks come in and ask for the Amore.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
So I hope they get the liquor back, however they can, and maybe it can come back. Because she said one time they did have a small bottle. She saw it and she was like, oh, and then she could make it.
Yeah, and it was like gone, like almost immediately. So she did make you I guess I'd call it a Sheila signature cocktail that you enjoyed very much. But what else did you have there?
So this was our day that we were going to be coming home that night. Mm-hmm. So I usually cannot do caffeine after a certain time or I'm just wide awake. So we were there, and I think this was, what time? 3:30 it opens?
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, I still got some hours. So I'm going to go ahead and get an espresso martini. So I did, and this is $15.50, and it's Stoli vodka, vanilla vodka, espresso, and creme de coco. And it was very good. Very good.
It was good. I had a sip too. It was delicious.
It was very good.
Enchanted Rose is expensive. I will say.
Yes, it is.
It is very expensive, but I think it is one of those settings, and the quality of all of their handcrafted cocktails and all is worth it. In fact, we have a cast member friend who is now working over in Grand Floridian, and he came by to see us, and he was even looking up on the liquor shelf at some of the like whiskeys and bourbons, and he was like, wow, they have that? He's like, that's $300 a shot. He was impressed by the selection that they had. And so they have a very good selection of things. I cannot pronounce this. Sheila pronounced it correctly for me. Then our friend came and pronounced it correctly for me. It is the Boulevardier, I believe. And it is whiskey with sweet vermouth and Campari, which is like an Italian liqueur, for $21. I really enjoyed it. Again, I've been trying different whiskey and bourbon drinks just to see what I do and don't like. I liked this. Then I also tried their Manhattan, which is Whistle Pig 10-year straight rye whiskey, Carpano, Antica formula, sweet vermouth, bitters, and then orange bitters for $26. That's where you're like, wow, I'm paying $26 now for a drink. But this is one of those where, I think it's so worth stopping in and having one,
right?
And you're gonna pay
as many as you had,
right. This was an expensive bill that day, but we were trying things out, and I think this is 100% worth sitting down and having a high quality, classy Manhattan in the Enchanted Rose and sipping it and just enjoying. And, we were conversing with Sheila, ended up talking to the two gentlemen next to me about Tron and the preview, and they had already done it. And the one guy was giving me tips on the locker system and all. And it's just a great place to do that. We were about to leave when the guy next to me then ordered the Knob Creek Disney Select. So Knob Creek has worked with Disney food and beverage team to create this specific Knob Creek only for Disney resorts, parks and resorts. It is not available anywhere else. It's not even branded to Disney. It's not like it has Mickey Mouse's head on it or anything. But I was like, oh man, I would have gotten, an old fashioned or something instead with that. And Rhonda was like, well, why don't you just try it? And you can get it in pretty much any ounce pour you want. So I got a 2-ounce pour. I believe $16 is what it was.
Yeah, because I asked Sheila. I was like, well, how much is it, Sheila, for like a shot, but where you could sip it, if you did it over ice or neat or however you do it.
Yeah, I just did it neat, and it was good. I'm still more of a, and I haven't gotten into real high class whiskeys and bourbons. I mean, I tried a couple of those with Chuck over at Polite Pig. I'm still more of I really enjoy them in something like an old fashioned.
Right.
As opposed to just straight or neat like this. So for me, it still gives a little bit of burn on the back end. But I thought it was very good. And it was one of those that I knew it existed. I had not seen it yet at any of the places we had been. So once we saw it on the shelf and the guy next to me ordered it, I was like, we got to try that. So if you are whiskey bourbon fan and you see it there, give it a try, or just get your old fashioned or something made with it. Because that's what the guy next to me did. He got it made with that specifically because a lot of times they'll ask you what you want. All right. We are going to jump to our next trip, which we actually stayed overnight at Margaritaville Orlando Resort. If you go back to episode 481 and then even way back to episode 292, we cover everything about Margaritaville Orlando Resort, including our stays at the cottages. The only thing we have never been able to talk about was staying in an actual hotel room because they have a hotel on property. And we did. So just to give you a quick idea, also bookable through Chuck with Main Street Magic Travel. I went ahead and just picked our anniversary weekend just to see what it would look like. For 2 nights, 2 adults. This is the Queen Park view. So it's facing basically over towards H2O water park there, Sunset Walk. Very far in the distance and all is kind of Animal Kingdom and all of that. You were looking at $738 for the 2 nights. It was about $369 a night.
Okay.
And then $190 in taxes and fees because there is a $40 a night resort fee.
Oh, wow.
So again, one of those things to be, aware of. All in $928 for the 2 nights.
Okay.
That's a lot. If this resort was on Disney property, what would it be classified as, though?
Oh, a major deluxe, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like
It's
major.
up there with deluxe resorts. I mean, it's on a level of yacht and beach club. I feel like in
I
that
just
area,
started
don't
to
you
say,
think?
yeah, but there's no pool slide.
Right. And no lazy river, but
There's
the
no,
pool
like, but
area
the
is unbelievable.
Huge,
Yeah.
very large. Excuse me. And not only is there bar when you can get food and drink, they come around to
Yeah.
your table, your loungers,
Yeah.
and ask if you want that. And I mean, technically, you can like sit on the edge of the pool, sit in the pool
With drinks.
With drinks.
Yep. You can
So,
take floaties
Yep.
in, which is super nice.
Mhm.
The bar food and all is actually really good.
Yeah.
There's activities throughout the day.
Yes.
Everything from scavenger hunts, trivia, bingo, beer pong
Mhm.
competition. You enter a team for $10,
Mhm.
and the winner gets free drinks at the bar or a bucket of beer, because we won last time when we
Right.
went last year. There are several on-site dining establishments, including like what would be considered a signature restaurant,
Mhm.
quick service, grab and go type stuff,
And a quick walk to Sunset Walk
Yeah.
to get food and stuff.
which gives you that boardwalk in style of there are so many
Right.
additional things there. There's balconies
Nice
in the
big
rooms.
balcony.
Yeah.
Two
You have
chairs.
salon services on property. You have child services to watch your kids on property, like for a parents' night out. You've got fitness center. I mean, this is no offense to Old Key West whatsoever, but I feel like if you could pick up Old Key West and just do away with it, and you plopped Margaritaville right down here. Like, again, I said, if somebody blindfolded me and just took me in here in the lobby and said, hey, walk around the property, and they were like, did you know that Disney bought Jimmy Buffett? I'd be like, they did? Okay, this fits.
Yeah.
You know, does that make sense? Like, it has that feel of a Disney deluxe resort,
Mhm.
and absolutely love it here. What did you think of the room?
Oh, I love the room. The room was amazing. Very, very awesome Margaritaville vibe of
Yeah.
that beachy, like fun. I love it. The beds were a little high, which
Yeah, that was interesting.
funny because even Cassidy pointed out, like for older people, that could be kind of hard for
could
them
be.
to get into
Yeah.
bed.
It's a very fair point.
Yeah.
But it's an extremely spacious room.
Very comfortable.
Yep. I mean, it's one of those, I always look at the space you get between the end of the bed and your dressers or countertop that's
Right.
going to have your TV above it, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
a lot of times, you might have a couple feet.
Yeah.
Here, there was enough room. You actually had a bench at the end of the one bed,
Mm-hmm.
and then you still had several feet till you got to that kind of like wall and the dresser and stuff. I mean, the bathroom was super spacious. Like,
Well, and that might be due to as well, which is really cool. So there's a little iPad, and you can order and do some stuff there with like getting a service or
Yeah.
whatever. You can't order food, but apparently you can order a roll away,
mhm.
like a cot or a crib.
Yeah.
So I think the reason it's nice and spacious
allow space for
is
that.
to allow space for that, which is great. Because, you know, you've got your 2 queen beds.
Yeah.
And then if you had 5 people, you could get a rollaway.
Yeah, agreed. And, you know, this is off property,
Yes.
but it is very close to Animal Kingdom.
Yes, it is.
You're still, now we did not go to the parks while we were there. We were in town for a Give Kids the World event down
Mhm.
at Amelia, which we hope to stay at here in the future.
Yeah.
Chuck and Allie actually did a day pass there because you can do a day pass to enjoy their amenities. So you can find that on their TikTok at the main ST Magic Travel TikTok channel. But it's further off property than just say Flamingo Crossing,
Mm-hmm.
but not so far that I think I would look at this if you were going to Disney. That's I guess what I'm trying to get to, because,
Yeah.
you know, at $1,000 for 2 nights at basically $500 a night, all in, you're not staying at Yacht and Beach for that. You're not staying you're not staying most likely at any of the deluxe resorts. It's going to be
Right.
right around that price or higher. Now, yes, you are on property, and that is always going to be a huge benefit.
Right.
But if you have a car on property, I think this is a very viable option. Or if you have the budget to allow an Uber or a Lyft to and from the parks each day, it's probably going to run you $12 to $15.
Yeah.
So it really isn't bad, and I would consider this for your Disney vacation. You are getting definitely further from Universal. I don't know that I would recommend this if you're going to Universal, especially when you might be able to get a room at Royal Pacific for this same price
Right.
and get Express Pass included.
Absolutely.
And we'll talk about that in 1 minute. First, we're not going to spend any time really on dockside. That's where we then came home from Margaritaville, and then we
Yes.
came back 4 days later to stay the night at dockside.
Yes.
Us, the girls, Tina and Cassidy,
Mhm.
a little early birthday celebration for Cassidy's 16th, which was this past weekend.
Yes.
We're going to do one night at dockside. It was $198 all in for the 2-bedroom, which includes 3 beds. So it was perfect for the 6 of us.
Right.
We really like dockside and surfside and the endless summer resorts. Normally you can get any room for under $200, sometimes a lot less, with a Florida resident or an AP discount. If you go back to episode 341, we cover everything in great length and detail. All right, let's talk about and finish off with Universal Mardi Gras. We got to go back. We got to try some more food. So we're going to talk about eating. But first, we always like to stop in and just ask out of curiosity, how much is Express Pass today, the Thursday of Florida spring break, on top of your $204 a person ticket for 2 parks? And how much was it per person per day?
$350.
And that is for the unlimited.
Mm-hmm.
1 day,
1 day.
2 parks. So you were looking at $550 all in per person for
Per
a
person.
2-park ticket, 2-park 1-day ticket, adding unlimited Express Pass.
And if that's 4 people in your family,
Yeah, $2,200.
that's a lot of money. Where then, as I would look at going and staying at Royal Pacific, or, I mean, heck, just looking at all the Legacy, because it might be a little cheaper because then you get a family of 4.
Yeah. Day of check-in and day of checkout.
Right.
So even if you were just doing that one night, you're going to go ahead and get the benefit of that unlimited Express Pass. So that's why I always say, just take a look at that.
Absolutely.
I would like to know if Rob Schneider got it that day, because we saw Rob Schneider at Universal.
Y'all did. I somehow did not. And I'm so glad y'all did. You
I
and
know.
Tina,
I wish
and
I
then
had
the
said
couple in
something, but
front
I'm
of
glad
us.
I didn't, just because I don't want to be that guy. But so we were coming up to the turnstiles, getting ready to check in, and there's a family in front of us at the turnstile right next to us. And I can hear them saying, the team member saying something about whatever type of tickets they were, and I'm guessing maybe they're comp tickets. He's Rob Schneider.
Right.
I'm wondering if they're saying like, hey, you need to go to the ticket booth to get them. So the whole family turned around and they seemed a little bit like
Frustrated.
frustrated.
Which would make sense.
And I look at the guy dead in his face. Tina looks at the guy dead in his face. He just keeps walking, and we both look at each other and just go, is that Rob Schneider? And we're like, I think that was Rob Schneider. And then the couple in front of us heard, and the guy turns around and he goes, that was Rob Schneider, wasn't it? We're like, we're pretty sure. And by that point, we're like, all right. And again, I mean, I kept an eye out for him in the parks the rest of the day. Like, if I had seen him, I would have gone up and just been like, dude, I grew up on like your movies with Adam Sandler and beyond. Deuce Bigalow, I think, is one of the funniest movies ever that is very, very underrated. So Rob Schneider aside, though, we did get to enjoy some additional Mardi Gras flavors of Carnival food. Again, a couple episodes back, episode 540 with John Self. We cover every single booth and what he thinks are deemed the best. And then episode 546, Rhonda and I talk about a couple of the items that we already had. We'll go in order, except for the first one we're going to talk about, because I know you don't like to ever end on a low note with something like this. And the first dish we're going to talk about was a very low note. And I was warned by John not to have it, but I was like, I got to see for myself. What was that one?
Because a lot of times we have come into contact where it has not been very good, but then another time it is good.
Yeah. Or for example, it's because this falls in line with the Angry Crab that was at Festival of the Arts, which Rachel had and did not care for. I was like, well, I'm going to try for myself, and I absolutely loved it. In fact, I went back with Michael and got another one later, a couple weeks later.
Really good
and it was really good. So there are off days sometimes.
Yep.
I don't believe this one is about off days.
Yeah. So this is Indonesia, and it is an Indonesian style chili crab with fried mantu. This is $18.99. It is fried soft shell crab tossed in a sweet and spicy crab stew, served with fried sweet buns. It was very spicy. I didn't eat the crab, but I ate some of the sweet buns, took a few bites. Those were pretty good.
They weren't bad. They were very dense,
They were
though.
dense, but it was like a It was like a savory donut.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Yeah.
But it was
this
not awful.
Yeah, but the rest of this dish was awful. One of the
Didn't you
worst.
throw some of it away.
Most of it away.
That's sad.
First
I'm
of all,
sorry.
it was smothered so much in the sweet and spicy crab stew that's all you got. And to me, it was just a sweet and spicy sauce. The actual stew portion didn't have any crab flavor. There was a tiny little soft shell fried crab underneath. And let's just say this. It tasted out of season.
Ew.
If that makes sense. Like, it's one of those where, like,
That's
you
good.
yeah, I mean, I took a bite or two and I was like, this doesn't really taste like crab. It tastes like something that is a little bit out of season. And you got almost no crab flavor. Like, the angry crab was meaty. I mean, you got chunks of that back fin crab meat and all, and it had wonderful crab flavor. But they also basically were like, here's a soft shell crab done really well. Anything else that's with it is kind of on the side and around it. This one was like, hey, we have a horrible soft shell crab. Let's just smother it in stew and hope nobody notices. We noticed.
Yeah.
So
save your $18.99.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a large portion for $18.99.
Not at all. And especially when they were doing it for like $12 or whatever over at Festival of the Arts, so it wasn't about the price of the soft shell crab.
Right.
So would not recommend this whatsoever. And neither would John, or I think any of the other food bloggers out there that cover Universal. So that was a shame, but it was expected. Again, we still had left over about $75 on our food and beverage discount card, which we talked about in that episode 546. Also, you can use your pass holder discount at these booths as well. All right, next we'll move over to the first dish we tried that day, which was at Puerto Rico. That was the mofongo trio. This is gluten sensitive for $9.99. This is a mix of smashed plantains, bacon, chicharrones, and shrimp criolla, crispy chicken, thigh, and then mayo ketchup. What'd you think over all of this? Because it had some hits and it had some misses.
Yeah, I liked the crispy chicken. That was good.
Yeah.
Some of the smashed plantains, but I got a chicharron and had to spit it out.
Yeah.
It was soft and squishy. And
it was almost like they forgot to fry it. Because that's how they are before they drop them in the fryer. And then they puff up. It's pig skin.
Right.
And then they puff up and all big. Yeah. That part missed.
Other than that,
the rest of it was pretty good.
The rest was good.
The mashed plantains were great.
Yeah.
The shrimp was flavorful. And then, I liked the crispy chicken, but it was almost like it was just the breaded portion. Like, there wasn't a lot of actual meat in it.
Extra crispy.
Extra crispy.
I had a pretty good piece. I think,
Did you?
Unfortunately, you didn't get a great piece.
Would you recommend this dish to someone, though, in comparison to some of the other dishes we had and will have?
Sure.
For example, okay, if somebody said, because then we went over to Canada, the truck there, and we got the poutine with short rib gravy for $9.99. This is crispy fries with short rib, cheese curds, and brown gravy. This is one that, again, John said, over the course of having it several times, it was different. Like, one day they were out of short rib.
Huh.
So we got the complete dish.
Yeah, we did.
If somebody said, I have $9.99, do I go get the poutine with short rib gravy, or do I get the mofongo trio?
That's almost kind of hard because...
You think?
Well, I would say the poutine with the short rib gravy, because the meat was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I would just prepare you that the French fries are unfortunately like soft, and it's there. You don't have that like crispy. Like, that was the only sad part.
Everything was delicious together, but the fries were no longer crispy, which is going to happen when something's smothered in gravy. Except it took a few minutes. And for them to be handing out the orders, which made me feel like they were taking fries straight out of the fryer, putting them in the boat, and then putting the stuff on top and handing it straight to you.
Right.
I think that the kitchen backed up and they were grabbing things under heat lamps. And that's why the fries were not crispy anymore.
Yeah.
Because they were smothered in gravy and they'd been sitting there for a little bit, but the flavors were on point. Cheese curds were real good and popped. And there was a ton of the short rib, super like fork tender. All three of us really liked this because Tina had some as well.
Yes.
So I would recommend that over the mofongo. But then let's just say you've got your $9.99. Let's throw Spain and the paella into the mix, which was saffron yellow rice, chorizo, squid, mussels, and shrimp, served in a little adorable plastic paella dish that I almost kept and then realized, what are you going to do with this?
Yes.
Where are you spending your $9.99 among these three? Spain?
Yeah,
100%.
This was fantastic.
It really was.
And even with me not eating the squid, but I did have some chorizo and I did have some shrimp, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, the mussel was cooked right. Tina ate most of the squid. It did have both the rings and the tentacles.
She ended up getting the
bocadillo
that she then was like, here, have a bite. She's like, I'm not gonna eat this whole thing, and again tasted it and it was fantastic.
It's my favorite thing at Mardi Gras that we've had so far. The bocadillo is, and when we go back on April 13th, I will get it again, and we'll also try some other dishes. But this paella was really, really good. It was a good portion. Rice was cooked perfectly, super flavorful. All the seafood in it was cooked right, which, we talked about when you go over to the Central City and the boil. A lot of times that crawfish and that shrimp tends to be a little bit overdone. This was not. I thought they knocked this out of the park. Then finally, as far as the Mardi Gras booths go, we stopped at Mexico, sat for a while. I got the tacos al pastor for $8.99. This is a pork al pastor off the spit with pineapple, pickled red onion, and a habanero mango sauce. This is one taco, but they are not falling to what Mexico is doing over in Epcot, where it's one taco, but it's a teeny little baby taco. This is a good size, little bit bigger than a street taco size. It is what seems to be a fresh made blue corn tortilla. A ton of that, they literally have the giant pits. And they're shaving the beef off the side. It's it's roasting and rotating, and you're getting these like gyro, like lamb meat in a gyro, and you're getting these thin slices of this beef. The pickled red onion, the pineapple. This was delicious.
Good.
It was super hard to eat because it was so packed full of meat and all that in the tortilla was a blue corn tortilla, so those tend to fall apart. But once you got those bites, and then I kind of just got a fork and just got everything together.
Nice.
I loved it. Probably my second favorite thing. And then Tina got the Baja Shrimp Ceviche Tostada for $9.99. This is marinated shrimp with avocado crema and a crispy blue corn tortilla. This was also good. Light. You always say how refreshing dishes can taste. This was good for the sun had come out. It was getting hotter.
Yeah, it was.
And this is the type of dish you want for that.
Yeah.
You missed out on a lot of this.
I did.
Why is that?
Because they had Central Park crepes. And Lacey loves them. I was kind of wanting something sweet, and we have not tried a crepe at Universal before, so I was like, let's try this. And they had a strawberry hazelnut for $9.99. It is Nutella, mascarpone, Nutella, strawberries, whipped cream, and powdered sugar. I'm not sure what took so long because you had the one guy making, and it's neat because this is all clear windows where you can see. You had the one guy making these crepes.
Oh, so you're watching him make them?
Watch him making these crepes.
Nice.
Smelling amazing, looking amazing. And then you have the other guy putting the stuff together. And it just baffled me. And I was beyond me why.
It took 30 minutes. I think. You were there in line for at least 30 minutes after you ordered.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, I would see him, I'm like, you just squirt some Nutella and strawberry, and this should be a lot quicker. And then at one point, they called a name, and I even yelled it out, and I was like, okay, then you move on to the next name that person has it, and then if that person comes back, I think it was Brooklyn or something. Brooklyn comes back, then you say, oh, okay, well, we had to give it to somebody else, and then. But I will say, when mine finally was called, and it was finally, the good news is it was fan-flippin-tastic.
Holy moly, this thing was delicious.
It was. And the crepe was great, flimsy, but not too.
But a ton of flavor to the actual crepe portion.
Yep.
It was, if somebody said, you know what, every time you go there, it takes 30 minutes, I'd be like, okay, I'll still go back.
I just started to say that that is the one thing I would like
how good it was.
to see. Yeah. If maybe we could do it in the morning next time.
I'd really like to try a savory one there because they have savory crepes as well. I've never actually had a savory crepe. I've always done sweet crepes.
Thought we did.
I don't think
we were over at Epcot
in Paris when they opened.
And
maybe we did.
Unfortunately,
I just don't think I've not had a good crepe at Disney or at Epcot.
I know, it's sad.
Yeah, that's you're them calling out the names reminds me, and them just moving on though. It reminds me of the Mitch Hedberg skit where he was saying you'll go to a restaurant and they'll call out a name, for your party, and if nobody answers, they just move on to the next name. He's like, well, what happened to that family? Like, I'm not going to try and do a skit because I'm not Mitch Hedberg, but he's basically like, they could be locked in a trunk somewhere, but nobody cares. They just move on. They're like, Dufresne, party of 4. Dufresne, and then they just move on to the next one.
Right.
But nobody cares about the Dufresnes. What happened to the Dufresnes?
I mean, obviously, a lot of times people just get tired and they're like,
they're done.
Out. Like, this is stupid.
I remember you came back with it, and we're all and we can see you. Also, just, can the freestyle machines have ice for once?
Yeah.
If we went to 10 freestyle machines on that day, 8 of them were out of ice.
Yeah.
And I feel so bad for the team members because those lines are always long and they're coming around. I mean, they're trying to dump ice. It baffles my mind that those things don't produce their own ice.
Yeah. I
And
agree.
I said it on Twitter, and somebody said there are ones that do. So it just makes sense to me.
Trade them all out.
I know every time we went to get ice, because we just take cups to refill with water throughout the day. And you can do that in the freestyle machines without having to buy a refillable cup. You obviously can't get any of the sodas or anything. But we just want ice and water throughout the day, and you could almost never find ice.
Yep.
It baffles me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we will finish on one last thing. This was on Thursday. This was round 1 of March Madness. Duke was playing. They were going to win that game. This weekend didn't go so well, but oh well.
They did win the game.
Well, they won that game. They won Thursday, but then did not look so good yesterday on Saturday versus Tennessee. So anyway, earlier in the day, I was like, hey, I wouldn't mind if we're like ready for a break. I wouldn't mind going and sitting at NBC Sports Grill and Brew and trying to watch the Duke game. And so we had the kids and all with us, and we asked them, they were like, we're just going to hang out in the park or we'll do whatever. And so Tina was like, well, let me see if I can find a reservation. She went up, she found a reservation for 7:30. Game was at 7:10 for the 3 of us. And that was perfect. So Kaylin's boyfriend ended up coming and meeting up with us in City Walk. And they were like, well, we'll come with you too. And they walked up and tried to get 2 people added
that was weird.
to the reservation before we got there. And they were like, no. And then we went in and had no issue.
Yes.
Got sat at a big table.
Giant table, which was funny because I was
We've sat at it before. It's the one with the what the frick is that game called? They slide the little metal pucks and it's got like the chalk stuff on it. And I can't think of what it's called.
I can't either now that you're trying to.
But literally, it's built under this big glass table, so you can play while you're dining, which is cool.
It is cool.
Had a nice big TV that eventually got the Duke game on.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start. We just want to start with the bad and finish on the good.
Yes.
Because I'll say I love NBC Sports Grill and Brew.
And with the
I love this place.
Right. And with starting with the bad, we're also going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say we will be back. This 100%. Is not something that we were so
and the place was
at.
Slammed. I do get it. I get it.
It was slammed. And I mean, I hate to say it, the world we live in, I think people just don't really want to work anymore. So I understand not only like A, being slammed, but B, maybe not having the
proper staffing
and everything. Because our waitress was like, looked like she was running around like a chicken with her head cut off.
Yeah. She was being overworked for sure.
Yes.
So basically what happened is Rhonda and I decided we want to do some wings and we're going to get 2 orders of 8 so we could get a garlic Parmesan, and then we're like, we'll do the Nashville hot. That sounds good. We'll get some wings, some fries. We're watching basketball. We're at a sports bar. This is perfect. And then she said, do you want them grilled or fried, like more traditional? And she's like, I recommend the fried. So that's how we would like them.
Yep.
Okay. So everybody else orders, and the wings come out, and I noticed right away that they're not fried. They're grilled. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm hungry.
Right.
Let's just eat them. Not going to even bother, grilled, fried, who cares? Take one bite and they just taste like charcoal. And when you flip them over, and I really didn't realize this till later, like they burnt all those wings and then placed them in the basket so you couldn't see the burnt side up. Because every one that you flipped over was black on the other side on both orders. Yeah. So I'm like, all right, I can't eat these.
Yep.
So she came back around. I'm like, hey, we did fried. She's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I put fried in. That's weird. Takes them back. She says, I'll get you new ones. 45 minutes go by. Everybody else is eating. Lacey and Cassidy show up and they each order something. She comes by after that 45 minutes and she says, it's going to be a few more minutes. There was something wrong with the fryer. That's why they gave you grilled.
Correct.
I was like, okay. I mean, I wanted to just be like, I was very nice. I mean, again, it's not her fault. Something's going on in the kitchen.
You were nice to her, but it was super funny. You were
I voiced my frustration to you and Tina for sure.
Yeah. For sure.
But it was like, well, then that should have been, you know, somebody should have come out and said initially, hey, we're having an issue with the fryer.
Yeah.
Is grilled okay? And I'd have said, fine. And then we
Right.
possibly would have gotten burnt ones. But anyway, I said, all right, another 5, 10, 15 go by. Cassidy and Lacey's food is not there yet. Our wings are not there yet. Everybody else has finished their meal. The game's coming to an end at this point.
Right.
So she comes back and I said,
Cassidy and Lacey both ordered something that was fried.
it was fried. Yeah.
So now.
Well, the waitress came back around. I said, just, you know what, just cancel anything else that's waiting to come out.
Which was kind of sad because it was our own daughter, which we were fine to
Right.
cancel. But he was canceling Cassidy, and Tina was sitting right there. And I'm like, I'm sorry, Tina. And she was like, it's fine. She can eat something else. And then she was really disappointed and wanted the calamari, which broke my heart.
Because
Because
the calamari's really good there.
Well, and her birthday was the next, like,
yeah.
a day or two later. And I was like, oh my God, you just canceled. So anyways, here's
But then
what's funny.
a minute later after we canceled, and somebody else walks out with Lacey's chicken fingers and
She's
fries.
like, well, I think she walked out and said these were ready. Do you
Yeah.
still want them?
and
And
we're like, sure.
yeah, and then poor Cassidy again's like, what about my
Yeah.
calamari? So
Anyway, you know, again, we will be back. They were slammed. I know there was something going on in the kitchen, something with the fryer. Things happen.
Right.
It just, at that point, even if they got our order right, I just didn't feel that it should have been paid for after over an hour or so.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's move
you
on.
were hangry.
I was hangry too. And I ended up back at Dockside and ate an entire Meat Lover's personal
Yes,
pizza,
you did.
which I tend to do because I really like their resort pizza. Anybody from New York, say what you want. I think it's good. What did Kaylin get?
She got
She's so
this
funny.
artichoke and spinach dip for her actual, like, quote unquote meal.
Yeah.
So it's spinach, artichoke heart, shallots, garlic, mixture of cheeses, and tortilla chips. And she really liked it. You
Yeah.
tasted it.
It was delicious. It was $11.95. It's an appetizer. It's very shareable, super flavorful. Like if you're going, I want a really good artichoke and spinach dip, this is it.
Mhm.
And I really, really enjoyed it. What did we get though? We did get
We
an
did get an
appetizer.
appetizer.
Luckily, I'm glad that
Yeah.
I got to eat
Yeah.
some food.
And this was really good. And again, this is just so funny to me because how are you having something wrong with the fryer?
These came out right away.
Wisconsin fried cheese bites for $12.95, and it is Wisconsin white cheddar curds and house-made marinara. And it was fantastic.
I loved these. I'd get these again and again because, like we said, we'll go back.
Yeah.
And I'd get these again.
Yeah, they
This
were
and their
super
calamari.
good.
Sorry, Cassidy. Their calamari is super good that we've had in the past.
Mhm.
So they've got great burgers here. I love the place. Kaylin's boyfriend got cheese flatbread off the kids menu.
Yeah, because he was actually going to get the margarita one,
Yeah,
right? Is that what it's
I
called?
think it was. Yeah, the margarita
Off the
regular menu.
Yeah, but it's an
It
appetizer.
wasn't. Oh, it's an appetizer. Okay.
Mhm. And then she actually said that we have a cheese flatbread that's the same size and everything in the kids menu, and you do get a side of fries.
Yeah.
So he went ahead and went with that.
Yeah, and I would say our waitress was really good. Like you said, she was definitely slammed and overworked. But even just to make a recommendation like that, you know, in a time where she is running around ragged, you know, she did a really, really great job. And then Tina got the smoked turkey club for $16.95. You can get it with fries or tots. She got tots, and I mean, it's a smoked turkey club.
Yeah.
She absolutely loved it. I stared at it. It looked delicious. I was just waiting for my food.
She ate the whole thing.
Those
and said it was
tots
really
were
good, but she gave
awesome.
she gave us the tots, which was really
They tasted
cool.
like homemade tots, like not your standard Orida tater tots or whatever. So I loved them, and it was so funny because even the next day she was like, "I can't believe I ate that whole sandwich," but I was so hungry and it was so good.
Yeah.
Because it is a big club sandwich. So we recommend it here.
Absolutely.
We'll be back. We'll get the wings next time, and hopefully everything goes okay with that.
Maybe we'll ask about the fryer.
Yeah, we'll ask about the fryer first. But it has been a crazy 9-10 days. We've got Roundup Rodeo coming up on Friday. We got a couple trips in April. Very excited, actually. Thanks to Chuck, we made some changes with our anniversary weekend. We're going to be staying just off property, but we had a night already on Disney property, and this is where it's great when you use a travel agent. I don't have to deal with anything, but I was going to have to either cancel or move that night. So I said, let's move it. And he was actually able to move it to Coronado Springs for one night in May for you and I to go have a little staycation. And the crazy part is it's a random Thursday in May, the weekend or the Thursday before Mother's Day. It was only $10 more per night for a standard room at Coronado than it was for the standard room at All-Star Movies that we originally had booked for the Saturday night of our anniversary.
Wow.
So, but again, Chuck takes care of everything. You can get a free quote at mainstmagictravel.com. As long as you're out there, you know that you should subscribe, because then you get brand new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. And Rhonda and I would be super duper thankful if you could leave us a rating and review,
Because it'll help our show grow.
That's all we've got. We'll see you real soon.
Jeremy and Rhonda are more than a little fond of Disney World, so they made this podcast to share it all with you. Reports and resorts, top 10 lists of all sorts, Main Street Magic's bringing it home for you.